you very much. That's very nice of you. First of all, you came to the campus recently. You didn't visit us. This is very unfortunate. You should have come to my office. Okay. All right. Let me put. I think you said it very well. I think in some sense, no. Yes, our infrastructure development has been phenomenal. You may or may not know this. When the institute was conceived and the first set of buildings came in, I think the total outlay about 10, 12 years before, about 10 years before, was roughly about 50 crores. In the
Right.
last 3, 4 years, we have spent close to about 120 crores, probably a little
Right.
bit more. And then another 120 crore is in the pipeline. So we are talking about something like 240 crores over a span of about 4 or 5 years. I think the way to see that is, I think we had a board which understood the need for creating a top class infrastructure, and our board continues to support this. I think therefore, I think there is a common vibe between the executive, the institute, and the board in terms of trying to create a good infrastructure. I think we also follow a very small strategy here. The strategy is very simple. We increase the number of students, and then we have certain kind of infrastructure. Then we just quickly exhaust the infrastructure, and then we increase the student population in the campus. So it's kind of one bottleneck gets removed, and then the other one becomes a bottleneck, and we just keep addressing that. I think the infrastructure is a consequence of the growth vision of the institute. As you know very well, when you were here, probably we were a batch size of 240. Now we are a batch size of 450, and that means doubling the batch size, adding the IPM. So the student population is now close to about 1,200, and this number is likely to go up by 120 every year.
Right.
So I think this infrastructure is critical, and I'm happy that it came through, because I think we must thank our contractors. They raise up to the occasion. We had an excellent project team which made sure that things worked well. And many of my colleagues, for example, Ashmuk, I'll speak very specifically the name. At that time, we didn't have a CAO here, regular CAO. Colonel joined us only a couple of about 7, 8 months now. But I think Hashmukh Gajjar, who was a faculty member, also sweated it out in a very big way. And I think these people have made a huge difference to the administration and getting sure that this happens. And I think the board was very supportive, and we had a good construction committee. These are the things that worked in the favor of the institute. So therefore, I think more specifically, I would say that we are very happy that we have a good swimming pool, we have good recreation facilities. Now you might have read from the newspapers and also the local information. We are spending something like 3 crores on the gym equipments.
Right.
If you see that in your parlance, you call it as Patal. If you see that Patal area, which is like SR 12 and 13 down the line, there is a new dining hall that we have created. I think on the top floor we have a fairly large complex which is going to be a top end gym. So the idea of shifting the gym there was children should be able to access it at any time they want. I don't want them to walk along all the way to the sports complex. Sports complex is
Right.
initially family, community members, but students should have their own access anytime they want. So we were
Right.
by and large trying to keep a good gym center as we go along there. We are also, as you know, put together some bicycles. About 50 bicycles are on the campus. They can take it anywhere and bring it back. So I mean, things are happening slowly. Yeah, sure. Yeah, see, academic quality would need a lot of attention. Would need a lot of, because the easiest thing to do would be expansion of programs, and the easiest thing is to size and scale, and the easiest thing to do possibly is do the infrastructure. Academic quality would need a significant amount of attention, and that is going to be our priority. In fact, we already started working on it. For example, a couple of priorities that we have in our mind is very clearly we want to ensure absolute parity between PGP Indore, PGP Bombay, PGP Russell Kema in terms of who teaches, what is being taught, how it is being taught. The benchmark will be the mother campus, which is the IIM Indore campus, and I want to make sure that this is replicated in Bombay as well as in Russell Kema. Now, we constantly look for faculty members who can help us. Some of them are visiting, some of them are from the industry, some of them are regular faculty members. We have been able to recruit from the best schools in India. I think we can raise the bar now because we have got some confidence now. When I came in here in 2008 or 2009, we had something like 25, 30 faculty members. Now we are close to 53, 54, and we are constantly moving this. And I'm very happy to tell you that this is our alma mater. You must be happy to feel good about it. every PhD student in the country who is graduating from the top IIMs or any other IIMs and IITs is considering joining IIM Indore. This, I think, is a matter of pride, and therefore I will constantly attract good talent. Now, the fact that we are in Russell Khema provides us an opportunity to recruit international faculty as we go along. We need to activate that, and we plan to leverage in a very big way the information technology revolution. Therefore, boundaryless world, boundaryless faculty would be the order of the day. We'll push that. And internally, what we are doing is we have activated an internal structure which is called the courses committee, which consists of all the heads of the departments or the departmental chairs and me. And depending on the program, we do a thorough review of the courses that are being offered. And I think this is a journey. It will take some time. But I think my own way of looking at this will be, we are doing international benchmarking of our courses. We are trying to get the best course outlines from reputed teachers from outside. I think we are trying to do three things very clearly. One, we have a structure in place. We are constantly looking for talent, both internally as well as from externally. And we want to put together a process by which the design and the delivery is world class. Now, having said this, if you ask me, are you there? The answer is no. Would you be there in 2 years down the line? The answer is surely yes. I think the process has already started and we are getting there.
Right. Offering
well, people like you should do that, and you must do your bit to make sure that the whole world knows about it. And I think we firmly believe the very simple and elementary thing, like our students are our ambassadors. And I think we focus on our students, and I think students are our biggest stakeholders, and they must go satisfied completely and fully with the program, the content, design, delivery, and experience. So this, I think, is the baseline. Now, should we go and talk about it to the outside world? Answer is yes. Do we have the time to do that? Unfortunately, no. Because our hands are full, we are constantly moving from one to the other, and therefore I think we believe in at the end of the day, I'm very famous for saying this. If you make good kachoris, people will buy them. You don't have to market it, and this is what I picked up after coming to Indore in terms of kachoris, as an example. So my own sense is I think we should focus on your work and we should deliver the best that is possible. Get going. I think people will get to know and people will talk about it. Yes, certainly, if you think that we have some ideas by which we can market this and position it very carefully in the minds of the people, I think we should do it. We will be very happy to do that, and we can take your help. Well, it may become the most sort of one, but that is different from saying it will replace the PGP program of the institute. I think we have to understand several things very carefully. It will take a couple of minutes, but let me say this, let me start with the easiest thing to understand. What is our vision statement? You go and see our website, our vision statement says something very, very spectacular. It says, we want to have dominant presence in every segment of management education. This, I think, is a very clear statement. Now, therefore, we can't necessarily focus only on the PGP and the PGP variants. When I say PGP variants, it's the PGP, executive PGP, weekend PGP, etc. These are variants of the PGP program in some sense for different audience. The other side of the story is we have a PhD program. We also have a PhD program for the industry. That I think is another variation. So, therefore, we can't leave this whole area of undergraduate programs vacant. For example, if you go to some of the good universities in the US, they run a good undergraduate program. They also run a good postgraduate program. So in our context, we want, it's very clear, in the larger sense of the word, younger minds are easy to influence, and it's worthwhile to influence. A little bit matured mind, little bit of a mind which has seen a little bit of the world, we can add to them and make them to make their own decisions as they go along. So I think we have a role to play in every segment, and we will play that segment very carefully. Now, the other important dimension to this exercise is, some of us very firmly believe that management education should be integrated in the context of social sciences setting. For example, you have done these courses. Suppose, for example, you do a course on law. A course on law without understanding civilization, without understanding constitution, without understanding citizen-centric life, probably will have a very limited meaning. For example, we admire the life cycle of organization. Now, life cycle of organization is the beginning for writing the history of organizations. But the history of the organization has been seen in the context of the civilization and where do we come from. Now, I think a good broad-based course on business history would only add to the maturity and appreciation value of our children. For example, we have excellent courses on communication. We believe that managerial communication is very important. Communication has to be well taught. Good managers are great communicators, etc., etc. But communication cannot happen without vocabulary. Vocabulary cannot happen without appreciation of literature. Literature cannot happen without an appreciation of reading habits. So we need to provide that integration. Therefore, the larger point is, we can't be an organization behaving expert leadership, conflict resolution, managing personality without a little bit of understanding of the psychology related to that. So the IPM program, to my mind, provides the much needed, a much needed background setup for the MBA program in a larger sense. And therefore, that program needs to be nurtured. It needs to be developed. And they will all flourish on their own. Each one will have its own standing on its own uniqueness. And I don't want to see them as competing. I would like to see them as complementing.
Right.
Mark, I would put it in a different context. I think I don't want to be misunderstood, but there are a number of corrections that we need to make in the way in which we look at placement. Across the US, no Ivy League school provides placement. Okay, we are in the business of providing education. We are not in the business of placement agency. One must be absolutely clear about it. This a little bit more carefully. For example, all over the world, if you take any of the larger Ivy League schools in the US, there is no placement process. There is a employment counseling process, and Water finds its own level because each student is different, each student is unique, they have unique abilities, and they will seek opportunities which match their profile, and they grow in their life and make a contribution. If you take that position, I think we should not confine our students through a pipeline process called the placement process. This, I think, is something which we should eventually graduate to. I think we should seriously debate internally, should we have this conventional placement system or equip students and enable students to pursue what they like and what they prefer in their life. This, I think, is one way of, then what happens, you provide a mosaic and people can find their own space in the mosaic and enjoy it. This, I think, is another direction to go. Now, how does it happen? It will happen, in my opinion, in two different ways. For example, this year we have started a very unique initiative in the PGP2. The current batch, which is graduating, has already got an initiative where we are providing an opportunity for every student to specialize in one functional area and one industry domain. So that cross-section of domain and industry area would provide an opportunity for you to seek some very specific career opportunities as we go along. Now, when this matures, I think the ability of our batch to cater to a variety of needs will become larger. This, I think, is one. But I think the real placement opportunities, the full potential will happen only when we have talents which is varied here, which means not only we must have variety on gender, we must have variety on the background qualification of our students. For example, most of the B schools we all know tend to have more of engineering students rather than a good mix of students. I think we need to somehow make sure that we attract good students to come in here. People with the art, science background, people with law background, people with, let's say, commerce background, and also people with engineering background based on merit. This, I think, is something which will enhance. The second thing is the final key to the whole thing will be the quality of education that we offer. If the quality of education that we offer is outstanding, in my opinion, placements will follow. Well, there will be some aberrations because, some students will have some preferences and they will always look for something which is little beyond their ability. Those are, I think, systemic issues. We must take them as they are in our stride. I think, to me, the key is provide a variety, provide a good career counseling, ensure that the quality of education that you do is phenomenal, and build an excellent rapport with the corporate world because, after all, they also need good talent. And I think if you can provide good talent, I think there will be a queue in wherever it is available. I think that's the direction to go. But again, as an younger institution, we have not reached our peak, and we are progressing. We are aggressively progressing, and we will reach our peak shortly. I would say another 2 years' time, we must be able to. By the time I expect our internal processes on quality delivery of education will mature, and when that happens, I think when we bring in a batch which is more variety based, and we also have space and presence in every segment, I think we are bound to do well. I think that's only a matter of time. at all. See, you have to understand it in the historical perspective. We are challenging the accreditation process. You remember the oldest time in the country got into accreditation only 3 years before. It's not a comment on anybody. I mean, I'm not trying to make any judgmental opinion about anything. You must also understand in the Indian context, the IIMs have been blessed with a huge demand-supply gap. The number of seats have been about 2,000 seats, and there are 2.5 lakh people apply for this. So I think we have been managing the process in our own way. I think we do recognize that if you want to be a global school, if you want to be a school of recognition, if you want the first choice of your students, you need to ensure quality of education, quality, value education, both value in terms of money as well as human values. And one way of doing that, and also diversity in terms of students, both in terms of gender as well as in terms of origin. If you want to do all that, you need to have an accreditation because that's a passport for attracting people. We are very aggressively pursuing this path. And it does take a year or two to get into the accreditation process cycle complete. We are talking to ACA, the American Association of Collegiate Business Schools, which is a well-known accreditation agency, which is globally well-known. We have got the first level of approval to file in our application. We are looking at the standards. There are three major stages involved. The first stage is the application of, our own assessment of how do you fill in the standards? How do you meet with the standards? The second level is a self-report. Third level is an inspection team. So we are in the first stage. Hopefully, in about a month's time, we should be able to file our first documentation. And I expect this process to be complete in about 8 to 12 months. Right. So we are quite on the process.